Hello everyone, sorry it's been a long time since the last video. I've been pretty busy with work and stuff, and I've been trying to hold out for the Beastmaster to release, but I don't know if that's ever coming out. They said it was going to be shortly after the map release of Silence Cathedral, and then they kept saying, you know, oh, it's this week, and now it's this week, and now it's this week. It's not going to be this week either, I don't think. I just read from OG Hamsmith that they can't lock down the bugs that are currently going on. But I think that's hilarious considering the state of the game anyway. I know that's like a really, really shitty outlook, but like the game has bugs that they refuse to address or talk about or fix. Balance issues, like the Deceiver, you can still mark them. I don't know if that's intentional, but you can still mark a Deceiver that's invisible. You can wing flap a Deceiver on your team if you have Sentinel with wing flap. So, I mean, just tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of issues that never ever get addressed. And they don't even get talked about either. It's kind of interesting. I imagine there's a lot of traffic on the forums, so it's probably impossible for them to look at it all, but I don't know. From what I can tell, the game, I've been waiting a long time for this game to go mainstream, and I don't feel like it's ever going to do that. I don't feel like it's ever going to take off. I know that's really negative, but like every time I go to a video or an article or something about this game, the outlook is extremely negative. People, they really, really hate the fact that it was a Legacy of Kain game that got canceled, and then this is what's left, you know? Which is sad, because, like, I love fucking Nosgoth. This is one of my favorite games ever. And they always say the same things, like, oh, it doesn't follow the lore and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, it really does. It's not in the same time period as Kain and Raziel and all that stuff, but it definitely does follow, you know, in their clan's footsteps and stuff like that. And these are the evolved creatures that are left behind, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. People see what they want to see, and this is what you get, but the point is like, people try this game, and like, even when you log in and start up the game, every menu, every sinking league and all that stuff, it always freezes. It always goes down to like 10 frames per second and stuff like that, or crashes, or like, it's like they're never addressing any of that stuff. That stupid wheel, what's it called? I don't know, the reward wheel. That thing freezes on me every single time. Like, either I wait for the entire game to load, which is about a minute and a half, or I push the button to make that stupid wheel spin and it freezes and then it catches back up or whatever. I don't know. I'm being really negative, and that's not what I wanted to do, but it's just like, I don't know. Playing this game lately is really frustrating because I'm not very good at this game, but, you know, I play it a lot, so I've learned how to, like, my ineptitude, I've learned to go around that. Like, I can manipulate other players into doing what I want if they're not better than me. But anyway, so, like, I can't aim very well, and I can't, whatever, you know what I mean. But I can't do that very well. So I use game knowledge to get around that fact and kind of, you know, fudge the numbers, kind of make myself look good. But no, for the most part, not very good. So when I do play ranked, because that's all you can do, otherwise you sit in a lobby for I don't know, 10 to 20 to 30 to forever minutes, I go in, and then I don't know, I'd say, let's see, okay, here, let's do the numbers. I've played 52 matches, and I've gotten EU, which is halfway around the world, probably 30 to 40 times, and then I've gotten NA, I don't know, whatever, the remainder, 12 times maybe, whatever. And then the numbers might be off a little bit, but it's 100% positive that I get a vast majority of the time I go to EU to play my games, and I'm not that good to begin with, and it's really, really frustrating to have latency and all that shit on top of playing with players that play for thousands of hours. And so I was looking at my game time. I have 740 hours or something crazy. I can't quite remember. 740, but then I did the math of game time in game, and it's like 330 or something. I don't remember, but I did the math, and it's so less than half. So 300 hours in game, 400 hours in lobbies or loading or whatever. That's insane. Like, what the hell? I didn't even think about it, because it's not too grating, because normally what I do is like it's like, well, let's play some Nosgoth. First, I'll launch a YouTube or, Twitch, so I have something to do while I'm waiting in queue for hours and hours and hours. So it's interesting. So like, I thought, I was looking at my skill in game, which is not very high. But anyway, and I was thinking like, man, I've got 800 hours in this game, 700 hours, and I'm only, gold or whatever the fuck. And it's like, well, actually, I don't get to play that much. Between work and movies and stuff like that, we're always doing stuff on the weekends. And then it's surprisingly low. Like, I couldn't believe that. To put that in perspective, like, when I was hardcore into other games, like Splinter Cell was my first game, we used to play that game all night. Like, man, it was nuts. I had school, but I didn't have like any responsibilities, so like I just played with my friend NT all the time. And so we had, I would imagine, thousands of hours in the game, and then there was no waits. You just game. And you know what else? That game had server browsers way back in the day on Xbox. So like, if that could have it, this should definitely have server browsers. I don't know why we don't have that, because waiting in queues would, like, I've been in lobbies where it's like 7 players waiting on that last one for freaking ever. It's weird. I don't know why it does that, but definitely have had that issue, where you just sit there, and then you leave, and then like let's say I was queued for East or something, NA East, and then I'll queue for NA West, and then there's 7 people over there waiting on one person. This is stupid. What a stupid concept. Anyway, alright, so let's move on. Something that really sticks out to me is the game's balance. You've got 2 to 3 vampire classes that are it's not even close how much better they are as a class to the others, and it's been that way for, well, since Crucible and since the Summoner and all that stuff got released. You do not see Reavers in competitive matches without some form of trolling. It's very much considered like, oh, I'm just playing this class because I'm very much better than you. And that's sad. I love the Reaver. The Reaver is fantastic. I did a thread where the Reaver needed buffed, and I thought some of the key notes for that was his HP is 1k for no reason. I got into it with a guy. He was saying like, well, yeah, they're the foot soldiers of the vampires. They should be weak. And it's like, well, no, this is a multiplayer game. They shouldn't just be weak. That means that you shouldn't play that class because he's weak. He sucks. Play Tyrant with 1500 health or whatever. So anyway, I thought HP, I don't see why I think bare minimum it should be 1050. If humans HP is 1050, there's no way a vampire should be lower. That's stupid. Anyway, that's one. I think I love sweeping kick. I love what it does, but 375 is low. I know it used to be higher, but I don't know. Maybe that needs to stay. But that's not what I wanted. What I wanted is, and people might hate this, I think Sentinel has too much. I think Barbed Talons on Sentinel is too much. I think that would be fantastic for Reaver. Barbed Talons. And I think it should be nerfed anyway. I don't think that it should be as high as it is, because it's just too much. That bleed damage is way too much. But the Reaver is all melee. Like, all of his attacks are melee. Barring Choking Haze, but that's a terrible ability. But anyway, so what I was hoping is, like, the idea is that you bob and weave with Barbed Talons on Reaver, and that could supplement the fact that he has the lowest melee attack damage in the entire game and the lowest health. because you're supposed to be real mobile. You're supposed to be fast in and out and stuff like that. So, you know, melee, let that tick, and then do your dodging and stuff like that, and then go back in. That sounds really appealing to me, especially since his kit is around attacking and running out with, you know, whatever is two, Shadow Step in the other one. Anyway, and then that doubles as a nerf to Sentinel, which everybody is playing. It's really hard to hit them. They can do, you know, they can CC one person. I'm not saying that they're overpowered and they need to be removed or anything, or, you know, I'm saying like hit so hard that they're not in the meta, but it needs addressed because everybody plays it. Well, okay, here's the thing: people play Deceiver because it's easy. You know, you can walk up to people invisible and it's very forgiving. Or they play Sentinel because it's overpowered. It does the most damage, it has the most mobility, and it has a decent amount of CC. 400 on-demand puncture is insanity. I don't understand how one of the most mobile classes in the game has the highest on-demand burst. That's it's pretty fucking hard to miss puncture. So like if you take backstab, which is that's the highest single target damage spell in the game. I think I might be wrong. 575, is that right? I really don't know, because it's a garbage ability. Nobody uses it because it has wind up. It's it's kind of hard to hit. You know, for what it does, it's kind of hard to hit. Which is like sweeping kick. Sweeping kick can be dodged. What's it called? Backstab can be dodged, and backstab is positionally. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be behind them for it to do the extra damage. I was thinking that could be a good, you know, give and take for puncture. I don't know if you'd have to be in behind them. Maybe it has some kind of stipulation, because just landing and hitting somebody for 400 on-demand damage and then hitting them with one melee or whatever, screw that. It needs to be addressed, and it hasn't. None of the balance has been addressed for a very long time. I feel like the last thing was they nerfed Reaver. They, like, you know, because he's so overpowered. But agility. Whenever all the new talents came out, agility, people were irate. And, you know, I'm not saying they were wrong. I'm saying, oh, okay, cool. We took care of one overpowered ability and left completely everything alone, like everything else. I still think Enrage does too much. I think it should only apply to either spells or either melees, not both. And then, look, I'm only talking about vampires because that's the easiest ones to attack, but humans are ridiculous. Like, there's a lot of shit that humans have that is totally unnecessarily powerful. Eldritch Guard is insane right now. You see it every single match in ranked queues, and especially EU, which is where I'm stuck because I can't play in NA, I don't know why. But that's all anyone runs is Hunters and Prophets. That's all I ever see. And then occasional Vanguards, which is weird because Vanguard is terrible. But yeah, you see it every single match. Eldritch Guard. And sometimes 3 Prophets running Eldritch Guard. And it's like, really? And then, oh yeah, I totally forgot about this. One thing that's been going on, people are stacking HP for their human classes on Scout, on Prophet, and on Hunter. So 1249, I'm actually guilty, so but it needs to be addressed. That's too much. The game is centered around the fact that everybody has 1050 HP. All melees are calculated very, like Deceiver does 190 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And all this stuff is calculated around that much HP and how many shots you can take before you give, you know, 10 melees or whatever. I'm sorry, those are fudge numbers. But the idea is, yeah, it's all calculated very, very clearly. And so people have started stacking HP on all their classes, and it's really, really difficult. You have to coordinate so much harder as the vampires in order to get around this HP stacking and Eldritch Guards, which is just all anybody is playing. Because, like, Prophet is hit scan, has CC, hex shot, what's it called, AoE in the form of those tentacle, I don't know what they're called. I don't ever use them. But though, you know, and then Eldritch Guard. So great, fantastic utility. So good damage. Oh, and that Sentinel ability made no sound whatsoever. That pisses me off. But I just thought he was swinging in to come in for like puncture or something. But then all of a sudden he grabbed me. It was bullshit. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm ranting. the video's almost over, but the idea is that I don't know who to talk to for balance issues. Nobody, either they don't exist or I don't know. They definitely don't address Reddit, and I don't think they have very many balance threads going on. Because if you talk about balance, people think you're whining that, you know, like, just get good, noob, and stuff like that. And it's like, well, yeah, but I don't know. The game is really well balanced, but there's these outcries, like or outliers that need to be addressed. And I don't care pretty much what anyone says. I feel like I don't feel like I'm being outrageous with my claims of what needs to be addressed. I think that Reaver does need a buff. I think that nobody plays him not because he's good and people just enjoy playing you know, Tyrant, Deceiver, and Sentinel. I think that people want to use the easiest slash best abilities and get the most bang for their buck. It's alright. Sorry this was kind of negative, and I'm going to try to release more. I just don't have very much time. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.